Congratulations on getting yourself a row mold system mold. I'm going to take a moment here and walk you through the basics of how to use your brand new molds. First off, when you get your mold, make sure you wash it. Inside the mold here, a lot of times these faces inside will need to have the mold release cleaned off them from the manufacturing process. You can use some warm soapy water to gently clean each of the faces. Make sure you're being careful not to scratch it with your nails. You want to use a flat part of your finger to gently scrub them off. Once they're cleaned, let them air dry, and then you're ready to get started. To assemble your mold, we'll start with the R3. You're pushing the two halves together. You're going to take your side plates and align them with the bottom of the mold, like this. You want to leave this top part exposed so that you can bend this out to set the lid in. Once your side plates are on, you take the clips and slide them on from underneath. Like so. Now, these molds have a slight variance in thickness, and ideally you want this clamped with just enough pressure to hold, but not so much that it distorts the mold like that. If your clips are a tiny bit loose, that's okay. You can take tape and do a single wrap around the arm of your clips. That'll help add a little more thickness to it, and it'll hold on better. That also helps account for the fact that as you use these, oftentimes these side plates will get resin stuck to them and they may end up being a little thicker, and so you can take the tape off so that these clips maintain the ideal pressure. Once you're done pouring, you're going to take your lid. There's a little bit of a lip on one side, and that corresponds with the cutout on the other side. You're going to seat it in on one side, like that, and then go down and one by one pull the edge out and seat the little keys down inside the channel. This can totally be done with it sitting on the bench. It's just easier for me to pick it up to show you. Once you get it in, you'll want to go down and make sure that each of these are fully seated so there's none that are sticking out like that. Top off all of your reservoirs with a bit more resin, and you're ready to go. If you don't like the clips, or if the clips are not holding it tight enough to keep it from leaking, you also have the option of using rubber bands. In the case of rubber bands, you're probably still going to want to use the clips while you're filling to hold the mold shut, but then once it's full and you have your lid on, take your rubber band and put it on with a double wrap. That should be enough to hold it shut. And if you go 3 times, there's a possibility you may start distorting the silicone, which will give you misshapen dice. I would do one on the end, one on the end, and one in the center, and that should be enough pressure to hold things shut. The same thing goes for the R2. Put your side plates on, put your clips on, or optionally rubber banded. Some people have found better success with taping, packing tape, along the edge as well as around the mold itself to hold things shut. Honestly, it just comes down to what works for you. I also want to go over filling the molds. With an R2, it's a little bit trickier. Now, this is one of the beta test molds, so the production version of the R2 has a slightly bigger reservoir, but the same thing applies. With your syringe, what I have found best works is to put it into the hole and then slide it to the side just a little bit and fill it that way. Doing that will slightly open up a gap and will let the air out much quicker as you fill it up. It helps prevent extra bubbles. And then once you pull it out, it'll close itself back up, and then you can top it off. And that way you prevent having big gaps at the top of the dice as you're filling the mold. With the R3, you're pouring and applying the lid. You apply the lid by sticking one side in and laying it down to help squeeze air bubbles out the side. Once you're done, if you see any air bubbles on there, what I do is I tip the mold about 45 degrees or so that the bubbles rise up to where the reservoir is, and then I will gently press on the lid, which will squeeze the air bubble up into the reservoir and let it come out. And that's about all you need to know. So good luck, happy casting, and if you ever have any issues, feel free to reach out to us on our Instagram page or send us an email at support@kingsfell.com. And as a bonus tip, if you want to make your side plates easier to clean, you can apply a layer of packing tape to one or both sides And then when they get resin on them, you simply peel the tape off instead of needing to scrape it off with a metal scraper. You can also warm the side plate up under a lamp or in front of a space heater, which will soften the resin and will allow you to peel it off to keep these clean. Make sure you're keeping an eye on how much buildup there are on your side plates, because if there's too much, it'll start to push into the side of the die cavity and could distort your molds. If you need to reorder these, we will have them listed on our website, so additional clips and side plates are available for all sizes of molds.